Government has expressed concern about the number of young girls who gave birth on Christmas Day. A total of 1,668 children were born across South African hospitals on the day, with over 130 being born to minors and teenage mothers. This is an increase from 90 in 2024. Let's get a sense of why this issue keeps persisting with Wise for Africa Executive Director, Advocate Brenda Madumise-Pajibo. To weigh in, good morning, Advocate. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Ms. Chaban. Thanks for having me.
Now, firstly, Advocate, please, if you can help our viewers understand exactly where we are at this point with this catastrophe, because this is a bad situation.
Yeah, year in, year out, these stats come out in all the different provinces. So it has reached a level where we can't keep on talking about disappointment. We have to be outraged, and in our outrage, what are the measures that we are putting in place to ensure that we don't, one, come back in December or New Year's Eve talking about 15-year-olds and 14-year-olds who have been raped? Because if you take a 15-year-old and a 14-year-old and they are pregnant and they've been engaging in sexual activity, and you will pick up in that in most cases is that the sexual activity is with older boys and older men, right? So that in itself is statutory rape. So when you have a Department of Health coming up with statistics and releasing the statistics, they should be able to say to us, of the number of the 90 young girls who are minors, that number, we have picked up that it is with older men, and that is tantamount to statutory rape, and that we are now handing over to the relevant ministry, being the Ministry of Justice and the police, to take course on what needs to happen with those children that have been sexually violated, because it's a violation.
Yeah.
Such a rape. We should not be discussing
Advocate, on
it.
that note, how often do we see prosecutions when it comes to statutory rape cases in South African hospitals?
We hardly see it, because most times we are told that because they're minors, we can't freely talk about it. I think the point that the question that you are raising now is that we need government now to come out openly and say to us, what is the number of convictions on statutory rape cases, so that South Africans can start to see that there is some movement and some action being taken against older men who take advantage of these young girls, right? 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 13-year-olds. And so if we don't even know the extent of the convictions, you will think that there is impunity around this matter. So yes, we need to know exactly what are the successes in convicting those who violate young girls in this country. And at the moment, we don't have a handle on it, on exactly how successful are we in prosecuting these kinds of cases.
Advocate, I mean, I truly believe that the numbers are probably even higher than we think. I mean, if you think about South African laws and how confusing they are, I mean, like the legal age for a child to be able to have an abortion without parental consent is what is it, like 12? Or
12, yeah.
12? I mean, that's
12,
problem number one, because imagine how many other babies are giving birth to babies who are being raped in cases of statutory rape.
So the numbers are staggering in this country, and they're hidden, right? Because we parents are also complicit in hiding it. Families are complicit in hiding it, and we are hypocrites as parents. We don't want to talk about sex in our homes, and we even stop the schools from introducing sex education because we pretend that these things don't happen. They're happening in full view. So we can't keep on being hypocritical about this issue when at home those children are also not safe, because uncles are predators on those children, right? Sometimes it's fathers who are predators, right? So we have to be open about this subject and have a clean, real conversation with children and show them the advantages and disadvantages of engaging, one, in sex, but also unprotected sex. That what are we saying to young boys and young girls? The burden and the responsibility is placed on women to go for contraceptives and protect themselves, but we are not putting as much effort on young boys to have clean and protected sex if they want to be, if they are sexually active. So it's a combination of all of us. And I think for me is that parents, we come with a moral code that certain things cannot be said and done, right? But we expect someone else to take responsibility and accountability for our failures as parents to parent, right? And we will be outraged in when schools want to introduce a curriculum around sex education, and but we are not doing that part as parents at home to educate children around about sex and their benefits, and just something that is not taboo, that some must be spoken about.
Wise for Africa has done some really groundbreaking work documenting teenage pregnancies, including your 2019 visit to Mafikeng, where you met with teenage mothers. What are the stories behind these statistics telling us about the vulnerability of young girls in South Africa?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I think for me, that first experience in Mafikeng just broke me down, right? And most of them came with their mothers. So you see, so it's young girls, 13, 14. They're coming with their mothers because we need to get consent from their parents to proceed with what we wanted to engage in, a civil claim and a criminal suit. And so fathers are not there, so it's mothers who are carrying the burden. They're also carrying the responsibility of taking care of the little babies that are born out of these babies themselves, right? And you then see a child who thinks that her life starts and stops in that Mafikeng, and there are no other prospects of life. So when you have a young woman who thinks that this is the end of their lives, there is no hope that they will get out of Mafikeng and amount to anything else. It's cause for concern, and I think part of the work that we're trying to do is to build in an empowerment program where you give them the confidence to know that things can change. They can turn their lives around. This is not the end of the world, that they have a child at 15, that school is important. They need to be supported. And most times they come from families that are not able to do so. But they're, with the little that they have, the parents try to make sure that a little one is taken care of, and this one still has to go to school. So I think we really, as South Africa, need to look at this cycle of bringing up children who are, falling pregnant and bring, caring children themselves who don't have the tools to parent, and the burden is placed on their parents who still have to deal with their own responsibilities.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, Advocate. I wish we did have more time, but we'll leave it right there. Thank you so much for your time. That was Wise for Africa Executive Director, Advocate Brenda Madumise